Fletcher Cox versus Darrelle Revis.
Darrelle Revis. Come on, dude.
This
Revis.
is a hard one. No, there's no come on, dude. Darrelle
There
Revis
is a
was
come on,
great. Well, I don't know. I think I'd lean Fletcher Cox on this one.
Philly pride and Sistad soul. Andrew rapping and Wild Bulls. Together they talk sports and dreams. Right behind the scenes. It seems. Philly versus NY. Who the call? Who's the greatest? Who will fall with this rivalry? Loud and clear. Join the chat. It's time to cheer. Sports and culture all in one. Catch the fire, feel the fun. Andrew, Sistad, Brad unite. Philly NY in the spotlight.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 51. And I forgot the name of the episode.
Perfect way.
It is the New York versus Philly Sports Showdown. All-time athlete face-offs. And to host and mediate the rivalry debate is the OG producer and third co-host, Brad Dalius. We welcome him back. Brad, it's about time.
It's great to be back, guys. It's been a long time. This is I appreciate you giving me a ring though, because I love this. This is gonna be a lot of fun tonight. Some of these athletes on here, some of these former stars, although that's debatable if they're all stars. You know, I wouldn't say every single athlete on here is a star, but
Some of them definitely not.
Some of them definitely not, but they've all had some sort of standout moment. So this will be a fun one here today. I'm excited for it.
Can you explain to the audience what we're doing a little bit, set the tone for everyone?
Yeah. So what we're going to do tonight is here on this pod, we're going to go through, it's like this athlete or that athlete, you know, one New York standout athlete versus one Philly standout athlete. They could have been, you know, a Pro Bowl type caliber player or not. They could have been a journeyman type of player. It doesn't matter. Andrew has been kind enough to put together the list for tonight. I've read through it. I'm excited. I can't wait to hear who you guys pick for some of these. Some of these are real good. There's one in particular that was a real tough one for me.
Interesting.
So yeah, we're going to go through. I'll try my best to keep track of, you know, who's in the lead. Does Philly have more? Does New York have more? By the end, we're going to go through each major sport. We're going to go through the NFL. We're going to go through Major League Baseball. We'll cover the NBA. And then we'll have some NHL face-offs as well. So, yeah, I'm pumped.
I do also want to mention that for those of you that want to hear our take on the NBA Finals and KD trade and the Hallie injury and how it affects the Knicks, how it affects the Sixers, we'll get to that at the very end. If for some reason you just want to hear that, what do you guys think? The last 15 minutes, 20 minutes? I don't know. The last 10 minutes?
Sure.
Fast forward, but you don't want to miss this part. It's going to be fun.
I'm going to kick your ass.
Yeah, I mean, you're the winner of everything.
That's right.
Philadelphia never loses.
Well, one thing, just to say right off the rip, that, you know, it's a little unfair just in terms of sheer volume, because New York has 2 teams per sport and Philadelphia
he's
only
already
has one.
he's already.
I'm just saying. That's all.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
It's not like we chose the best athletes versus the best athletes. I try to do direct comparables.
Yeah.
As close as possible.
It was very fair.
Yep. I think.
Anyway, let's do it. Let's start.
All right. Here we go.
Who's up first?
We'll start in the NFL. Jason Kelce versus Kevin Mawae. Haven't said that name in a while.
Jason Kelce. Come on. Brad, I know Brad's going to agree with me on this one. I mean,
you know, he loves Kelce.
Well, he loves Kelce. He's also he's widely considered one of the top 3, if not the best center of all time. Undersized guy, extremely athletic, quick, very unique, absolutely game changing. Had a great career. Got better as his career went on. Got better with age. Probably could have kept playing another 3 or 4 really good years. Super Bowl champion. I mean, what more do you want from the guy? Here we go. He's going to pull up the analytics here. His win rate.
No,
Come on.
I'm not. We're not doing a deep dive into the first one we did. It's fine. It's
I think
they're
Sistad laid it
They're
out.
both all-time great centers. They're both Kelce's not in the Hall of Fame yet. They're both Hall of Fame centers. And I think if we did a deep dive, it'd be very close.
Yeah. I think this
Kevin
is more
Mawae
of
was really good for a really long time also.
he was. This is more of a
some
recency
recency
bias, I think.
Yeah.
But I do got to give it to Kelce on this one.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, no surprise there. We know Brad's a big Kelce guy.
I'm really not, for the record, but yeah. For this one, we got to take him.
It's the other Kelce he likes. Don't worry.
That's
Anyway,
right.
let's keep going.
Yeah. My guy Travis. Oh yeah, you know it. All right, Jalen Hurts versus Eli Manning.
Eli.
Jalen. Oh my God. Come on.
Oh my God.
dude.
This is tough.
Eli.
6
Go
months
ahead.
ago, you said Daniel Jones was
the
better
case.
than him.
A lot happened in that 6 months, no? Come on.
Okay. All right, keep going.
That's it? You're not going to give any...
This is supposed
Any
to be
reasoning?
rapid fire. We can't give analysis on each one. No,
I'm not going to give analysis on each one, but this one...
There's 60 of them
whatever.
here.
Okay. Whatever you say.
All right, Brian Dawkins versus Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor, come on.
Lawrence Taylor. Okay.
That's obvious. Okay.
Yeah, I
okay.
agree.
Reggie White.
This one's tough.
Reggie White versus Michael Strahan.
Reggie White.
I'm going to say Reggie White, yeah. It's close. That's close.
LaShawn McCoy versus Tiki Barber.
LaShawn McCoy.
LaShawn McCoy. All right.
Unanimous. Saquon Barkley, Eagles edition versus Curtis Martin.
Curtis Martin.
Saquon Barkley.
Another split.
You could have stopped after Saquon Barkley Eagles version, and you could have put any athlete ever up there, and I'd probably still pick Saquon Barkley.
You would have
Eagles
went with him. Deshaun Jackson versus Odell Beckham Jr.
Odell Beckham Jr.
As much as I hate it, he's probably my most hated athlete of all time. It's Odell Beckham Jr. It just is. I mean, and I love Deshaun. He's one of my favorite Eagles ever. But I mean, Prime Odell was a sight to see for sure.
Yeah.
Todd Pinkston, aka Lean Lightning, if you remember that one.
I don't remember. That was his
Amani
nickname?
Toomer.
Amani Toomer.
I guess. I mean, I think what I just said about Saquon Barkley, I think that you could have stopped at Todd Pinkston, and I would have picked
The opposite.
whoever else was on the docket there. Yeah, he sucked. I mean, Todd stinks.
He was
and
their
we used to call him
number
in my
2
house.
receiver for how long?
Yeah, too long.
for a while.
I think. Too long. Yeah.
Behind, and you know who their number 1 receiver is? You probably don't. What a random selection for you to pick those two guys. I feel like that's so random.
It's a good comp, though, isn't it? Like, Amani Toomer was good. He was actually very good at one point, but it wasn't like he was some great receiver. He was
He definitely wasn't. But I just think
like he was.
so...
They were both like staples on the offense, on solid offenses, on pretty good teams, not great teams.
Yeah.
around
for a
the
while.
same time. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Wait,
Going back
who
now.
was the number one? Who was the number 1 receiver?
James Thrash.
Oh, okay. Do you know who the?
Yeah.
Do you know who the other receiver was opposite Toomer for most of that time?
That's a good one.
Oh, no. I don't.
Ike Hilliard.
Oh, wow. That's
Wow.
a hole, huh? Jeez.
Yeah.
Another name you haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, seriously.
All right.
So
Sorry, Brad.
going back for this
We
one,
sucked.
Randall Cunningham versus Joe Namath.
Joe Namath.
Randall Cunningham.
T.O. versus Devontae Adams.
T.O.
I mean, come on.
Just
That one's
amazing
also
Hall
unanimous.
of Fame receivers that spent brief periods with their teams.
Yeah.
You
True.
know, T.O.'s was longer, but yeah. Okay.
I like this one. Brett Favre versus Michael Vick.
It's got to be Brett Favre.
See, yeah, this one is where like we didn't really discuss any of like the criteria of what we're going off of.
Right.
That's why it's tough. Like Brett Favre as a Jet or Michael Vick versus an Eagle is probably really close. Brett Favre
Oh
career.
well, if that's the case, then it's Michael Vick, no doubt. I mean, Brett Favre had what? He was with the Jets for 1 year and like was fine. Vick had some pretty damn good years for the Eagles.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that is the criteria. I'm just saying there is no criteria.
Yeah.
It's just whatever we feel.
Right.
I'm going to go Vic on this one.
Okay. Carson Wentz versus Kerry Collins.
Carson Wentz.
Kerry Collins. Kerry Collins was solid for longer. Carson Wentz was better at his best for a short period of time.
Yep.
Fletcher Cox versus Darrelle Revis.
Darrelle Revis. Come on, dude.
This
Revis.
is a hard one. No, there's no come on, dude. Darrelle Revis was great. Well, I don't know. I think I'd lean Fletcher Cox on this one, although it's very close. It's 51-49. I think Fletcher Cox was the best defensive tackle in the NFL, not named Aaron Donald, for a really long time. So I think that matters. I think he was there for a long time. Both extremely good at their peak, which is more important to a football team. I don't know. You could argue a number one corner. I don't know.
Fletcher Cox kind of played in both eras where the defensive tackle was really important and then where it wasn't as important.
Sure. And another guy who had a really nice, like, long career, 12 years, I think, in the NFL, whereas Revis, again, different position, but definitely did not have that longevity. So I'm going to give it to Cox.
Brian Westbrook versus Thomas Jones.
Westbrook.
Yeah, I think Westbrook too.
Yeah, unanimous on that
my
one.
childhood favorite, yeah.
Jeremiah Trotter versus Antonio Pierce.
Trotter.
Oh, Trotter. Good God. All right.
Zach Ertz versus Jeremy Shockey.
Shockey.
Zach Ertz. Oh, come on, dude.
Shockey was so good. I don't know what
New
you're
York
talking about.
bias, dude. So was Ertz.
I just gave you Trotter, Westbrook, Vic. I just gave you a bunch of Philly guys. So what are you talking about? New York bias.
Give them to me. I mean, some of them are just so obvious that you have no choice. But
I didn't give them to you, but I mean, as in those are the guys I said. So clearly,
I know what you meant.
New York bias.
Thank you for the clarification.
How many New York guys have you said? You probably had said 2 New York athletes this entire time. Bias.
I said Odell.
I don't even.
You did say OBJ.
Okay, yeah, that's just because you hate him so much that you say that you have to say Odell.
No, it's not. It's because
I'm still trying to get over that. The most hated athlete, is that like all time for you?
Yes. Yeah,
Wow.
He's certainly up there. Yeah.
That's a big
All
statement.
time. Yeah, I can't stand him. I couldn't
Not for
stand
him.
anything.
He hates. It's not a big statement for him. Look at him. He hates.
Well,
look at his shirt.
I can't. I couldn't stand, like, especially when he first came onto the scene. One, I mean, you guys know how I feel about the Giants. He was like the guy in the Giants, and he was like, you remember all the stupid stuff on the sideline with the net and proposing to the net and the blonde hair. Just like, dude, we get it. Like, you're good. And then he wears a friggin'. Remember, he wore like a $200,000 watch when he while playing professional football when he was on the Browns. Yeah. Like, come on, dude, you're a loser. And then he opted to get all of his NFL salary in Bitcoin. Remember that?
I remember that.
The guy's just a dork. And
there was a few guys who did that. But yeah, I hear you. Too much partying on the boat before the playoff game, all that stuff. Yeah, I hear you. Okay,
see,
last one.
Brad's with me.
I got you. It can't be the most hated for me, but I got you.
I'm not a fan of OBJ in particular, but I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Last one in the NFL. Alshon Jeffrey versus Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall.
I say Brandon Marshall also. Very close. Yeah. Both teammates on the Chicago Bears.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's not a coincidence why I chose that. That's not a coincidence.
Got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Come on. Nicely done.
All right, let's go to baseball. We'll start with Aaron Judge versus Bryce Harper.
I put this in as a joke. Judge.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's Judge. I don't. A joke is a little strong, but okay, sure.
You can't deny it.
It's not even close.
I mean, those Yankee Stadium home runs. Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
Garrett Cole versus Zach Wheeler.
Garrett Cole.
Zach Wheeler.
Really close. Really close.
Very close.
Garrett Cole.
I agree. You know, it's funny. I
Tight one.
remember when because a lot of my baseball knowledge I get from you. I remember I
You're welcome.
texted you when the Phillies signed him, just saying, "Hey, what do you think of this guy?" And you said his like metrics all project him to be the next Garrett Cole. And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty exciting." And that's pretty much how it's turned out. I would say both really similar righties that have nasty stuff, but can also, blow a fastball by you. Both workhorses, dependable, big strikeout guys. Like that is a really, really, really good comp and good call by you 5 years ago when you first said it.
More than 5 years ago, right? But yes, okay.
Chase
No, it's
Utley
2020.
versus David Wright.
Oh, really? Chase Utley.
Chase Utley, come on. The
Kyle
man.
Schwarber versus Giancarlo Stanton.
Kyle Schwarber.
Schwarber. All right. Stanton's a dork.
Trey Turner versus Francisco Lindor.
Lindor.
Lindor. I always like Lindor.
This is another good one. Ryan Howard versus Jason Giambi.
Jason Giambi.
Ryan Howard. Come on, dude. You kidding?
It's pretty
Ryan
close.
Ryan Howard was a one-dimensional player.
He did win an
He walked and
MVP.
homered.
He won the MVP.
Okay.
How many MVPs did Giambi win?
Yeah.
I don't
How many rings
focus. I don't
does
focus my
Giambi have?
I don't focus my analysis on what voters voted
That's fair.
because I don't hear the group think. So there you go.
Oh my god. Okay.
Jimmy Rollins versus Jose Reyes.
Ooh,
Ooh.
Jimmy Rollins.
Jimmy Rollins.
Definitely Jimmy Rollins. But Jose Reyes.
No, I
is
think
good.
that's close. I think that's close.
Yeah.
Jimmy Rollins. This one's good.
This is good. Mike Schmidt, old school, versus Derek Jeter.
Say it.
Mike Schmidt.
Mike Schmidt. I agree. That one's close. That one's close.
Wow.
Jeter's Jeter's more of like a statistical. There's like this. Ready? There's this aura about Derek Jeter.
Come on.
No, but statistically, Schmidt was better. I mean, that's the thing. He was a much better baseball player.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Derek Jeter was just handsome. I mean, he's a good player, but come on. He was handsome. It was the 90s,
All right.
It wasn't just the '90s, but okay.
Back to pitching. A couple of southpaws. Cole Hamels versus Andy Pettit.
Andy
Oof.
Pettit.
Man.
My second favorite player of all time, by the way.
Wow.
Andy Pettit.
Who's your first?
Bernie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that's
Who's
tough.
your answer here?
I guess I'd say Pettit, but yeah, I guess Pettit has the
Cole
longevity.
Hamels.
Cole Hamels.
Cole Hamels was a more dominant pitcher for sure.
For a shorter period of time, right?
Yeah,
Pettit,
I think for
probably
a-
more
yeah.
big games and over the
Yeah.
whole body work. Yeah.
Well, there's a simple formula that we could do to just decide. So, how many rings does Pettit have? Hamels has one, so let's
All
see.
right.
Case
Does he have
closed,
more
right?
than one? Does he have more than one?
Yeah, he's
No.
like 5.
Oh, Pettit. Yeah,
well.
Pettit. Yeah. He's got a lot.
Well, there you go.
Cliff Lee versus Roger Clemens.
Wow.
Roger Clemens.
Steroids.
Yeah, well, if you're factoring that in, then sure, go Cliff Lee.
No, I mean Clemens is one of the best pitchers I've ever seen in my life. I would probably say Clemens. Philadelphia is going to hate me
Even
for
with the
saying that, but
steroids. Yeah. I'm with you.
I'm pro steroids. Like I think it's fine. The steroid era
Bring
guys,
it back,
whatever.
right? Bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Before you say the next one, can I just
Yeah.
you don't have to abide by this, by the way, Sistad. But my thought process on the next one is there are 2 Hall of Fame top 10 all-time pitchers, maybe even top 5, that spent that went to New York and Philly later in their careers or were not nearly the same pitchers anymore. So I was thinking about their time specific in New York and Philly, not their entire careers. But you don't have to abide by that. But that's just my thought on these 2 guys. Now go.
Pedro Martinez versus Randy Johnson.
Pedro Martinez.
Okay. Well, yes.
But
Pedro
But that's the
Martinez
thing.
on. Well,
If I was doing it based on their times with their teams, I think Randy Johnson was probably better with the Yankees than Pedro was. Pedro was really old and like deteriorated with the Phillies, but I take Pedro career wise over Randy Johnson.
okay, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, I guess Pedro was okay on the Phillies. He made it to the World Series with them.
Pitched in the World Series.
I saw him play for the Lakewood Blue Claws during that stint.
Was he rehabbing? I'm assuming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I
No,
remember
they DFA'd him. He
Yeah,
he had
stupid
a couple
question.
rough starts, and they said,
Well, they wouldn't DFA him. They said they optioned him down to
Right,
single
right.
A. Yeah,
you know,
stupid
what
question.
I mean. Yeah.
I think this
Stupid
one is
question
kind
by
of a
me.
coin flip, to be honest. I think you can make an even case.
I'm gonna say Pedro. NL champ.
Pedro. Let's do it.
Brad Lidge versus Aroldis Chapman.
Brad
Lights
Lidge.
out Lidge, dude. Come on. Wow, I thought you'd say Chapman. Good.
The bridge to Lidge, as
That's
they would
right.
say.
Yep.
Steve Carlton versus Whitey Ford.
I don't think Sistad knows who Whitey Ford is. So, do you know who Whitey Ford is?
I've heard the name.
Yeah. Whitey Ford.
I'm just.
That's my answer. But you just go Steve Carlton because you know who that is.
That's what I'm gonna do. Yes. How many rings?
default.
Again, let's default back to the
Whitey
rings.
Ford probably has like 8 rings.
All right.
Might.
Well, there you go. There's the answer.
I could be off about 8, but he has a lot. He was on like the Mickey Mantle teams and like Yogi Berra teams. Yeah, so then like the 50s and 60s. So
they were not bad.
What was his real first name?
I actually don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, and how did he get the nickname Whitey? I gotta look this up.
He was the only white player, and everyone else was black or Hispanic.
Hey, that's one way to call it, right? That's one way to look at it.
It's a good question.
Aaron Nola versus CeCe Sabathia.
I know what you're going to say here.
Oh my god, CeCe. Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Aren't you?
Yeah, CeCe.
Oh, okay. All right.
The battle of the catchers: JT Realmuto versus Gary Sanchez.
JT
Oh my
Realmuto.
God, thank you. Yes.
Dude, Gary Sanchez was crazy for. He was crazy for 2.5
4
years.
months.
No, for 2.5 years. He had an all-time like first 250 games as a catcher in terms of slugging, like the best slugging ever.
He sucked behind the plate though, right?
He struggled behind the plate, and then the last few years of his Yankee tenure, he was terrible at the plate also. So yeah. I'm going JT Realmuto, who also not only was he really good defensively, very good hitter, also like a really good base runner. Actually actually a fast dude. Not as fast anymore, but yeah, Realmuto by far overall.
Who could forget the inside the park home run in the ALDS 2022?
I don't remember that.
Classic.
I guess you're the one who could forget then. That answers my question.
That wraps up baseball. Let's go to the NBA now. Let's start with some big fellas.
God. There we go.
This is fun. This is awesome. Come on. This
Joel
one's great.
Joel Embiid versus Patrick Ewing.
Patrick Ewing.
Joel Embiid.
Wow. I would
Come on, dude.
There's no way. There's no way.
There's no way. There's no way.
Why?
I mean, there's a way. Yeah, I should correct that. If you value Embiid at his very best, yes, he was better than Patrick Ewing at his very best. Yes, Patrick Ewing was elite.
What does he have? What does he do better than Joel Embiid other than play more games?
You can't compare that because it's a different time. Big men weren't expected to do. So what does he do better? He probably. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head. I would have to look into it, but it's hard to compare because the big men don't do what they do now. It's a completely different game. But I'd imagine he was probably a better post-up player, probably better at finishing around the rim.
If you have to look it up, then it's probably not that strong of a case, right?
But you'd have to look up what Embiid does. You don't know. You don't like you. It's a different game.
He averages more points per minute than anybody in the history of the NBA.
Yeah, Embiid also averages more injured time per minute than everybody in the NBA.
So again, so then just say because Embiid gets injured, and don't laugh when I say, oh, Embiid's better at him than everything.
Well, it's longevity though.
Just
Also,
say he's injured. Okay.
no, I
Yeah.
agree with you. If you're saying Embiid because you think like Embiid at his best was better than Ewing at his best, yeah, I agree with that. That's
Okay.
that's obvious.
Okay. Great. So then don't
Yeah.
laugh when I give my answer because it's there's some legitimacy to my argument, right? If you argue longevity and
If you want to look at it in
not
one
being
way as
injury
opposed to
prone,
every other
okay.
way,
I
sure.
I want to look at it as
You want to look
dominance
at it
and
as in the way that works for your take that you want Embiid to be better. That's it.
that's right. Okay.
If the next one, if you decide it's the opposite, you would do the opposite because it would,
That's right.
whatever. Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Let's move on.
Let's go.
Whatever I need to make the point is what I'm going to do.
Yes.
Okay?
Of course.
All right.
Wilt Chamberlain versus Willis Reed.
Will Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain. Okay, good.
Yeah, without a doubt. Moses Malone versus Walt Clyde Frazier.
Ooh.
Walt Clyde Frazier.
Moses Malone. That's a good one, though.
That is good. I would take Malone as well. Andre Iguodala versus Allen Houston.
Andre
Oof.
Iguodala.
I love Iguodala, but I think I would say Allen Houston.
Really? Wow. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
By the way, growing up, my favorite player was Allen Houston.
Seriously.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. He was great there for a stretch.
Oh, yeah. He was awesome. Great
Yeah.
scorer,
Iguodala
great
was one of my
shooter.
favorite Sixers, even though that team was so bad that he was like the headliner of. I don't know. I always like watching that team.
Yeah, I like Iguodala's overall game a lot more than Houston's. Houston's was like he was a scorer. He was a
Right.
shooter. He wasn't a good defender. He didn't rebound. Wasn't a playmaker like that. Iguodala was a better overall player. That's why I take him.
Yeah, but Iguodala didn't. He was asked to be the star in Philadelphia, and that just wasn't. He was never going to be that. And then he goes on
No,
to
he wasn't
other
a star,
teams,
I agree.
and he really, he maximized his potential by
Yeah, but
having a better role.
when Houston was the best player in the Knicks weren't good.
Yeah.
They were They were like around 500, under 500 team. So
Same with
Tyrese
Iguodala.
Maxey versus Stephon Marbury.
Tyrese Maxey.
Oof. Wow.
I like this one though.
I like that one too. So I don't
Starberry.
know. My initial Starberry. My initial reaction is to say Stephon Marbury, but if I can think back to 10-year-old Brad, I probably just valued, I used to love like
10-year-old Sistad.
10-year-old Sistad. I mean, Stephon Marbury was fun to watch, but I'm going to guess, without looking into this, that he was just an inefficient chucker.
Yeah.
And Maxey is not that. So,
yeah, for
based
sure.
on that logic, as a 35-year-old, I'm going to say Maxey.
Marbury was a big, 20-8 guy. Was really fun to watch the way he would drive to the basket. Like a combination of speed, strength, athleticism, good, really strong at finishing at the rim. But yeah, he wasn't efficient. Yeah, so I take Maxey. But again, different game. Efficiency wasn't valued like it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Three-point shooting wasn't valued like it is now, so it's different. But
yeah,
I'm still going to say Maxey.
Carmelo Anthony versus Allen Iverson.
Wow.
You go first.
So, I don't know. I mean, both really only good at one thing.
Well, Melo was a good rebounder too.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know, man. I guess I would say
It's really close.
Allen Iverson was very good at but led the league in steals a lot. So obviously he wasn't a good on-ball defender just because he was so small. But at least he got his hands in the lanes and made some plays happen when he could.
Say AI.
I'm gonna say AI. I'm gonna say Allen Iverson. I wasn't specifically with his Knicks tenure. I don't know. He was just a shot chucker. Same. And,
Well,
and Allen was too, but
he was more efficient than Iverson. But again, he played in a time where efficiency was valued more. I think it's close. I'm going to say AI. I feel like AI was more fun to watch. It's more incredible how good he was considering his size. And but I think it's really close.
You
I
can
think
go
it's a
either
really
way.
good one.
Yeah.
You want me
Charles
to tiebreak?
Barkley.
Oh wait, we both said AI. Never mind. We don't need a tiebreaker. Sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
Charles Barkley versus Jalen Brunson.
Jalen Brunson.
Oof. Man, I'm gonna say Jalen Brunson. Also, maybe it's recency bias. Maybe it's
gotta be
definitely recency bias.
Gotta be.
Yeah. Well, I also don't. I actually, this is kind of blasphemous to say. I don't remember Charles Barkley as a 76er like at all. Like when I think Charles Barkley, I think Phoenix.
Oh, yeah, because what years was he on Philly? He was his first half of his career. Right?
He was there in the 80s. Yeah, he got drafted.
So why would you remember
the year? I don't know. I mean, I guess just I should probably know more, but I've been as impressed watching Jalen Brunson over the past couple of years as anybody I can remember. I mean, he's been that good. So,
Ben
JB.
Simmons versus Kristaps Porzingis.
Ben Simmons.
I say Ben Simmons. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people in Philadelphia are going to look back on Ben Simmons' time a lot more fondly than they do now. He's a very good, very valuable player for them for a few solid years. All defensive team, like ran the floor like a gazelle, could rebound, could pass, had really good vision. And now he's kind of a laughing stock. But if Porzingis didn't go to the Celtics last year and have a handful of good games for them and one good finals game, like he would also be a laughing stock. I mean, he went from I don't know. He faded after leaving the Knicks.
That's a little bit extreme. It's a little bit extreme.
No,
Maybe a
I
laughing
think
stock.
he faded into complete irrelevancy until he was on the Wizards the year before the Celtics.
Yeah, but did he score like 24 a game with them or something? Like 50% shooting?
I don't think so, man. I don't know. And another guy who was just always injured. So I take Simmons.
Last
sounds
one.
Like you did too.
Last one for the NBA. Aaron McKee versus Amari Stoudemire.
Amari Stoudemire.
Oof. I say Amari Stoudemire too.
McKee was actually
the only
good,
right
though.
answer here.
McKee was great. He was sixth man
of
the year. He was really good.
Yeah.
He was good, but Stoudemire has to take this one. I agree.
Yeah, before the Knicks traded for Melo, Amari was scoring like 30 points a game. He had I think it was like a 14 game streak of 30 plus.
He was dynamite there for a while. Yeah. Going now to the NHL, we'll start with Claude Giroux versus John Tavares.
Oh,
John
man. Tavares, yeah.
Ron Hextall versus Mike Richter.
Mike Richter.
Wow. Ron Hextall.
Mark Howe versus Brian Leach.
Brian Leach.
Scott Hartnell versus Sean Avery.
So this one is just funny.
Yeah, just the goons.
Scott Hartnell.
Scott Hartnell. Yes.
I like this one. Bobby Clark versus Mark Messier.
Mark Messier.
Wow. Bobby Clark.
It's probably closer.
Probably pretty close, right?
Yeah.
Well,
it could go
I think
way.
Bobby Clark's probably spent more years with the Flyers than Messier did with the Rangers, I would think, especially like prime years.
Yes. Yep. But you could make the case it kind of it balances itself out though, because Messier's, even though it was a shorter stint, probably the impact was just as big as that one.
Messier's impact on the Rangers was bigger than almost any New York sports athlete's impact on its team, like ever.
Yeah.
So,
that would make sense for sure. Next up, we've got Wayne Simmons versus Ryan Callahan.
A little mid 2010s, right?
Yeah, the Wayne train.
That's really tough. Let's go Wayne Simmons.
Yeah, let's do it.
The last one, Chris Pronger versus Brad Park.
Pronger.
I love Pronger. Yeah, I'm going to go with Pronger.
Yeah, Pronger.
Do you remember the frenzy around him signing, and didn't he sustain like an injury at one point, or there was so much drama around whether he was hurt or not, and he was being checked out by different doctors. Am I the only one who kind of recalls that one?
I don't recall that at all.
There's a little
I
bit of drama
recall that a
around
little
that.
bit. He was definitely injured a lot towards because he came to the Flyers pretty late in his career, but he was still
Right.
pretty good. But was just very often injured, but still really good. They went to the Cup with him, so good times.
Yep.
All right, so what's our final tally? I have one anyway. Yeah, let's do the tally, and then I'm shocked that you didn't ask a couple of them here.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see you stop working during the middle of the day and put this together.
Well, I'm just saying the one is so glaringly, like, very obvious.
You didn't
surprised.
have time to send me a text like, "Hey, how about this? Did you add this to the list?" Yeah.
You're right.
So I
right,
don't
so
know if we have an
what's the count?
official tally. I don't know if we have an official number, but you guys tied more than I thought you were going to tie.
We agreed more, you're saying.
Right. You agreed more.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been saying this for a while now on this pod that we don't disagree that often. What we disagree on is when you get into explaining what we agree on.
Our thought
He
processes.
gets into like the thought process, just the process in general, and then the exaggerations that he goes to, and like the misinformation he tries to perpetuate, which that's where we really disagree. But typically, we actually don't agree on the main topic. And this is not just on the podcast. When we're talking earlier today, we were on the phone talking about basketball, and when we actually figured out like the root of what he was saying, we agreed. Just all the other extra stuff we disagreed on. Anyway,
For me, I think the two that stand out as the closest, like 50-50 coin flip could have went either way, had to have been, for me at least, Pedro Martinez versus Randy Johnson. And the other one, that was probably the biggest one for me, actually. Oh, the other one, Brett Favre versus Michael Vick. I think that could go either way because you guys were kind of talking about Vick with the Eagles, but to me, it's more so about Vick with the Falcons. And I mean, one of the best athletes we've ever seen, ever.
yeah. What about the Revis one? What was that? Revis versus
that's probably the closest one. Fletcher Cox.
Fletcher Cox.
That's a good one, too. To me, Revis seals it because of the year with the Patriots. He wins the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. We all have our own.
That's the Pats fan
biases, I
talking
guess.
here.
That's the Pats
Yeah.
fan talking. Yeah, this is
Yep.
true.
I forgot
This is
about
true.
that one.
Yeah.
I think the
But
closest
when-
one is
but-
okay. Yes.
But when
I
that
was gonna make a
happens,
joke,
I
so.
mean, how mad were Jets fans? I mean, this guy's like
Probably
the best
very
Jet
mad.
ever.
Probably very
He
mad.
goes to the Patriots, helps them win another Super Bowl, and then he go
then he
back
comes-
to the Jets for a year after
He
that.
came, and then he
Oh,
was bad. He signed a big free agent deal, came back, and was actually like had one good year, and then was bad.
yeah.
Yeah,
Were you happy
Sucks
when he
that-
came back?
yeah, because he's a good player.
Right.
I also like
Not.
I
I was gonna say not for sentimental value. This is cool, just because you liked the player. Just wait till DiVincenzo comes back to the Knicks, and he'll be like
hope
in
so.
tears.
I hope so.
He'll be crying,
Oh,
tears of joy.
Doesn't matter what else they
It'll-
do this offseason. Keep the Nova Knicks together. That's all
That's
that
right.
matters.
That's right.
I don't
That's
care if we
right.
win 20 games. Keep them together.
Yep. Be happier than the day his daughter was born. All right, so
what else?
I have one for you guys. If you want, do you want to do that now, or what do you want to do? If you want to,
I just want to say one more thing that I thought was really close. I thought the Mellow AI one, and we struggled with that one. I think that was
Yeah.
really close.
Yes. Yeah.
Could have went either way. People forget about Melo also in those. He was really good in a couple of those years towards the end of the early 2000s, like around like 08, 09, when they ran up against the juggernaut of the Lakers. He was really good, but they really kind of got overshadowed by Kobe and company.
Wait.
Yeah.
Melo. on the Nuggets
The Nuggets.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So when I
at
think
that period of time.
Melo,
That's what I'm referencing.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
really good. I think people forget about that. He was playing at a high level, but they just got completely overshadowed by the Lakers.
Oh, dude. Also, we
I think
forgot
Allen
about
Iverson
something.
was on that team, right? Allen Iverson was on that team.
That Nuggets
and-
team.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
what
Was
I
he still there
when I-
at that
when I-
point?
yeah. When I
Yeah.
think Carmelo, I think of Denver Nuggets. So that's probably why.
Well, we forgot about the other New York aspect of Melo. He won a national championship at Syracuse.
Oh,
Yep.
man. You're
Yep.
right. Yeah.
That was the first championship game I watched. If I
Really?
think about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
First
Syracuse
and last.
versus North Carolina. Syracuse versus Kansas.
That's who it was.
03.
I don't remember. Okay.
Yeah, 03. New
03 or
Orleans.
02? 03. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at your memory.
All right. So speaking
Yeah.
of 50-50, like I have a tough one. We'll see what you guys think.
This is the
Yeah.
one that
What
was
about-
an obvious one that you can't believe I didn't
Yes.
include.
Yes.
Okay.
Very obvious.
hear it.
So Julius Erving, the doctor, versus OG Anunoby.
Oh man.
OG, for sure.
Of course. Right.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing, but I just
What
wanted to
a
get your take
hater.
on it.
You can't be more of a hater. I thought you were actually going to be serious with it. You actually had a good one that I
I'm
missed.
dead serious. Come on, man.
Yeah, you're
I
dead
mean,
serious. Yeah,
the
you're
doctor
really
and
being
OG?
serious.
Come on, dude. One of
Yeah,
them
it's
looks
really
like
close.
the face of the league, and the other one has long arms, and he hit a three.
You're such a
He
hater.
hit 2 corner threes in
Are
one
you
game.
sure OG's not your most hated athlete?
No, because I don't hate him. I just hate the way people talk about him.
Okay.
And the way that he is like valued. It's not his fault that like NBA nerds talk about him this way. Like he's just out there doing his job. I don't fault him at all.
Okay.
Whereas with
All right.
Odell, I actually
Back to
hate
that.
his personality.
You hated everything
Yes.
about him. Okay.
Yes.
I met Dr.
Brad-
J once actually out in LA at the around the ESPY Awards around that time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Was he a
he's
nice guy?
super nice,
Congrats.
very chill. Was just
Great.
rocking
That's
the
awesome.
shades. Just he
So
was vibing.
cool.
He was in his zone.
He was vibing big
He
time.
was. He was.
He was
Yeah.
vibing. Do you think he's telling people, like his friends and on a podcast, that he met Brad Dalius?
One can
I
only
don't know.
hope.
You should see if we can get him on, dude.
You never know. I mean, you never know. Now you got me like, I'm adventurous about it now. We'll see. We'll see.
Send him a text, Evo. Come on.
Yeah.
You never know. Although I could, there's some other people. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it off air. There's some other people I could reach out to, actually.
We should talk about that off air. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Um,
Sounds good.
Brad, didn't you have did you have another one you said that wasn't included?
Me?
No, I
Oh,
wouldn't
me?
call you Brad. Yeah.
Me? No. I think no. I thought that was Sistad maybe who had another one there.
Oh, okay, I got mixed
but
up.
no.
Okay.
I good list, solid list. Like I said, the ones that stood out to me that were tough were I actually would have taken Randy Johnson over Pedro, and that's really hard to say. But I mean, I don't know the 01 World Series.
All like the adjusted stats, like the adjusted metrics, they compare like to league average at the time. Like Pedro is like in terms of like adjusted ERA, in terms of like all that, he is like war. He
I know.
is
Dominant.
like top five.
One of the best ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Too bad
It's
he
a
couldn't
tough
handle New York, man.
Oh man,
Who's your
who's your
daddy?
daddy?
He was very good he was actually very good with the Mets.
Yeah, true.
Which
Yes, he was.
anything else on that? Any surprising? Were you surprised by any of my like comps that I put together? Like what in the world is
Yes,
like the Sean Avery one?
I mean, I know 6 man of the year, Aaron McKee, but that versus Stoudemire, to me, Amari Stoudemire, people forget. I mean, he was dominant for a stretch there.
Yeah.
That one
But
was one-sided to me.
This is the part of the thing where it's like open ended. It's like, well, I was thinking Amari Stoudemire specifically with the Knicks, not Phoenix Amari.
Okay.
So if you take
He was
out Phoenix
washed.
Amari, he had a couple. Like, he
Ish.
was really good for like
Ish.
a year, a
Ish.
year and a half, 2
Yeah.
years, and then yeah, exactly. Which when they signed him, everyone knew that was going to happen.
Okay, so another surprise for me was no Shaq anywhere. I would have loved to have seen Shaq versus
Shaq didn't play for.
Chamberlain.
I'm so confused by this.
No,
Shaq.
You didn't put Shaq in the list anywhere, like up against anyone.
Because Shaq didn't.
He never played for Philadelphia or New York.
I'm thinking Boston. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking Boston.
Oh yeah.
He should have.
Now it's not surprising.
He played for a bunch of teams there towards the end. He should have been in New York or Philly at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, Cleveland, Boston, almost. He should have been. Anyhow.
Why didn't I include LeBron in this list? LeBron versus MJ.
There was a hot second there. He almost came to Philly, maybe back in when he was deciding before going out to LA. I believe
LeBron. You're talking about, yeah.
LeBron. Yeah.
Was he was deciding? Really? Philly was an option then?
It was never serious.
But
there was some
had a meeting
thought
with the 76ers.
There was some thought, yeah.
He was like, the Sixers were like one of 3 teams he met with.
He made the right decision.
Yeah.
To go to the Lakers.
Certainly financially.
Let's talk a little bit about the NBA Finals. I have a thought. I was thinking about this last night, and I want to throw it out there to you guys. Yesterday, we're recording this on Monday, the day after the Thunder won the NBA championship. So yesterday, the Thunder won the NBA championship. That means they became NBA champions, right? The Thunder winning the championship was the 3rd biggest news in the NBA that day. That's kind of a crazy concept to me because you got the Haliburton injury is definitely ahead of them, and the KD trade is ahead of it. Can you think of like another sport where the team that won the championship, that the whole point of a trade, the whole point of the whole season and the offseason is to win the championship, yet the team wins the championship and they're the 3rd biggest news of the day?
Very interesting thought. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but I totally agree with what you're saying.
Absolutely not. I can't think of one instance. Maybe not in a team sport, but maybe individual, maybe like golf or something like that, or tennis. Not in a team. Out of the 4 majors, I don't think so. Maybe sometimes college football, maybe because guys who opt out in the past or they got
maybe
hurt.
College football.
Maybe that, but out of the 4 major, no, I don't think so.
Like I don't even think MLB and NFL. Like I don't think the day of the Super Bowl the NFL would announce. I don't think teams would. Are there any reports of trades like the day of the Super Bowl? I feel like that's never happened. I know Major League Baseball won't allow teams to do that.
Yeah.
Well, you have the trade deadline that's already passed at that point in the NFL from like the NFL season, and it's like the league year ends like beginning of March and starts up again then. So
but the thing is the KD trade didn't go through. It doesn't go through until the next league year. Well, you could go through before the league year starts, but for different reasons it's not going to. It's not going to. It's not going to go through because of Jalen Green's contract. But the point is it's just a report. Like Shams, but like teams are obviously leaking it to Shams, telling him so everyone knows it's happened. It's not official, but it's happened. It's just very strange that like the day of the NBA Finals.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, see, any thoughts?
I think
RIP to your Kevin Durant to Philadelphia trade idea. To RIP to my Durant and Giannis to the Knicks idea. So I think it's a good trade. I think I have been extremely critical of trades lately across all sports, but specifically
critical
the
of
NBA.
Pretty much every trade you almost ever heard of.
That's right.
For the most part.
But I told you earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, but I think it's like finally a trade where both teams kind of get fair value and they get what it is that they're looking for. Houston wants a superstar. They want to be able to plug in Kevin Durant, who's one of the best offensive players of all time, and Phoenix wanted to unload their Durant problem. They wanted to get some assets. They've got a young player back in Jalen Green, who's not by no means a perfect player, but he's still young enough to where you can, kind of convince yourself that with the right coaching and things of that nature that he can figure it out with your team. And they got Dylan Brooks, who's a, defensive savant. And I don't know that they're like trying to be good. So yeah, trade KD, get some stuff back for him, get like a young player who had some promise, wasn't long ago. He's probably still only 23. So yeah, I think it makes sense for both teams and good for everybody involved.
Yeah, I don't think the Suns had a KD problem, by the way. They just had a roster problem, and KD was the one that they could and wanted to trade. Like they couldn't trade Bradley Beal, and they didn't want to trade Devin Booker. So it wasn't really a KD problem specifically, right? It was a roster problem.
But well, Durant was pretty clear that he did not want to be there anymore. So whether that was
that's because they talked about
roster
trading him at the
construction
deadline. Like, that's what started him being unhappy. He was shocked that he was, at least according to reports, that he was involved in trade talks at the deadline.
Yeah.
He was not intending on leaving.
Yeah. Okay. But fair enough.
I think it also, like, so Jalen Green, you're saying, yeah, is there potential there? There's talent there. He was once a high end prospect, of course, but he was probably like, if I'd assume, like the fourth or fifth piece that like the Suns were targeting as a centerpiece of that trade. Like they probably wanted Thompson, Jabari, like there were Shepherd, like there were guys ahead of guys that they'd rather. It was kind of like the best that they could do because KD's value is just not great as a 37-year-old that's going to need a big extension and in a limited options. There weren't that many teams that were one he was willing to go to and sign an extension with, and teams that had the ability to reasonably make a trade, have the assets and still be a really good team. But yeah, for the Rockets, they get this elite score that they didn't have.
Yep, they'll be scary next year.
What do you think, Brad?
For me, I won't comment too much on the trade because I haven't been as dialed in on that front, but I will just talk about, going back to your original point about how, in what sport have we seen, the day after a team wins their first championship first in Oklahoma City, but first and basically forever. That's not the leading story of the day in the sport. I think just speaks volumes to the NBA being like one of the biggest pro individual player or just pro players in general sport.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes to that.
I agree.
It really does.
Speaking of that, let's talk about the Haliburton injury impact on the Sixers and the Knicks because we got the Bucks are going to be without Dame, and they have I think Brook Lopez is a free agent. Middleton's gone. And they have a terrible contract with Kuzma. The Bucks are in a lot of trouble. They just have a great player.
They also might not have Giannis. And they might not have him next year. So.
They're probably going to have him. But even if they don't, you're right. But either way, they're not a real serious contender. You got the Pacers now without Haliburton, without their best player. The Celtics obviously without Tatum. The East wasn't good already. The Heat aren't good. The Bulls aren't good. Who the Magic? It's the Magic and the Knicks.
It's the Magic, the Cavs, and the Knicks. Yeah, those are going to be.
Oh yeah, about the Cavs. The Cavs. Oh, and they're without Darius Garland to start the season. Garland's out, going to be out for a while.
And Detroit.
And Detroit. Yeah, Detroit's worth it.
But that's it. I mean, that's totally it. I think those are the only 4 teams that are going to be worth talking about next year. Sure.
So to you, Sistad, does this? I guess this is a two-part question. Does this make you more interested or intrigued in improving the roster now and going for it? And then the second part of that question is, does the front office respond like that?
So I think the front office does respond like that. I have been thinking a lot about this over the past 24 hours just because, I view the world through my Philadelphia fandom. So of course, when Haliburton gets hurt, that's certainly one of the things on my mind is what does this mean for the Sixers? I am planting my flag in the I will believe Joel Embiid can play basketball when I see it. That's where I'm setting up camp. I've gone back and forth a lot about it. obviously I hope I'm wrong. I want to see him play again. I think that they have a good chance to have a good season. But last year, like, totally broke me, and I had never been so excited. And I don't think I'm ever going to see him playing basketball at a high level ever again. So, I don't think they should do it. I think they should just kind of start over, rebuild. They have a couple of nice young pieces. They have the third pick in the draft on Wednesday, so they could potentially get another star with that pick. But yeah, I'm in like full on rebuild. Let's tear it down. Let's see what you can get and start over, because I just don't think that I just don't think I'm ever going to see it again from Joel.
Brad Dalius, you heard the hypocrisy, right? You heard the funny part. What was just said?
Come on.
About how he doesn't he doesn't expect to see him play again at a high level.
He'll believe Embiid can play basketball when he sees it, but Embiid over Patrick Ewing.
That is hilarious. Yeah, that is hilarious. I forgot that one there for a second. Yeah.
We're talking about going into next season versus like all-time careers. So.
Okay.
So the Knicks. Do you think the Knicks should look at this and like, does this change anything that they do? Because I think the Knicks already looked at themselves as a top tier contender in the East, and the goal this offseason was to perfect this roster so they can win a championship. Does this almost have the opposite effect where it's like, we don't feel like we need to take a risk anymore? Like, let's go with a safer route because everything around us is falling apart. What do you think?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I thought that should be their plan from the get-go.
And it may be.
Yeah. But I just think that they should feel more confident now going into next season that, I mean, I think the East was wide open before this happened last night, and now it's somehow even more so wide open. So, as you said when I texted you last night, you said that you wish that this happened 2.5 weeks ago. So
yes. When Haliburton went down, my thought was, if this was going to happen, it could have happened 2.5 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah,
and
that's very nice to say.
Just for the record, my thoughts were I was thinking and praying for Tyrese Haliburton all night and all day today.
And
I
his
actually
family.
called off of work, and I was just praying for his family and his leg, and So,
do you guys think
thoughts and prayers?
Do you think if he doesn't go down last night, did the Pacers win that game?
I don't think so.
Dude,
I think the Thunder were going to pull away anyway, but who knows? I mean, the Pacers have continued to surprise me all series. So
we'll never know. Obi Toppin said after the game that sucked the soul out of the team, and
they played well the rest of the first half.
Yeah, but you could tell they were. Yeah, but they weren't playing well. They were clinging on for they were hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, the Thunder were just missing every shot. Yeah.
I mean that the shot that put them up at halftime was a crazy step back. Yeah, Nembhard crossover, like just a really tough shot. That's not gonna and TJ, as much as I love TJ, like he's not. If he's playing more than 10 minutes a game for you, like it's not going to go well.
10 minutes a half.
So
yeah.
Right. But yeah, that sucked, man. I think that I'll just speaking for myself, that's kind of what I'll always think of. It will be the what if. What if he never got hurt in Game 7? And man, he had that look in his eye. He hit 3 like super long threes within the first 3 minutes, and was, he was talking shit. He was confident. He was feeling good, and just such a bummer to see him go down like that. I think we could have gotten a classic Game 7, and I think we were kind of robbed of that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Real quickly, we don't want to spend too much time on the Pacers on this pod, obviously, but I wonder if this impacts what they do this offseason. So Miles Turner's a free agent. Like, you bring back Miles Turner, go over the luxury tax without? I mean, I guess better question is, what are the Pacers without Haliburton? Is this because this roster is a really deep roster, Now you have there's an injury exception that you use in the NBA, so they can. I forgot what percentage of the salary you get to use in free agency, but I think or maybe it's a trade. I think it's like 50%. So if Haliburton's making, I don't know what he's making, 30 million, so you can use $15 million. So it's something like that. I don't know if you can get a solid point guard. Are the Pacers still a good team? Like what are the Pacers without a Haliburton?
I don't think so. I think they're probably 6 or 7 seed. Maybe they sneak into the play-in or
they're a
something like
playoff
that.
team. They're like fighting, maybe not even in.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's a good question.
Especially in the East, because all these teams like the Celtics without Tatum, maybe they're thinking like, hey, like, are we really sure we're not going to be good next year? Like, we could be the 3 seed without Tatum. Like, the East is really open for teams that are not very good to be like, well, not very good relative to this conference right now is actually very good.
Right. I mean, if I were them, I would just totally hit the pause button. Don't allocate assets anywhere until next year. I would try and.
So you let Miles Turner walk?
I don't know. Tricky situation. I don't know.
Because they're going to have to pay like Mathurin. They're going to have to pay Nembhard. They're going to have to extend a lot of these guys. And if they have Turner under contract, it's going to be hard to do. Anyway, too much. That's enough on the Pacers, but just a thought.
Yeah.
Is OKC going to have a dynasty? This is like the fun question everyone wants to have, the conversation everyone wants to have every time someone wins a championship. But with the Thunder, not only do they have a bunch of young players in their prime or entering their prime, they also have all this draft capital, all these assets, like 2 first rounds over the next three of the next 4 years, something like that. They have, I think, 5 first round picks the next 3 years. And obviously SGA probably just entering his prime.
They definitely have the makings of it, right? But I would argue that it's way, way harder to win back-to-back championships than it was, 10, 15, 20 years
when the
ago.
Spurs and Lakers were doing it.
Right.
Yeah, I also think the opposite. The conversation is as bad as the East is, the West is awesome. Like the West is so good. Yeah. It's really hard to get through that Western Conference. Think about it. I mean, they went to 7 games against the Nuggets. They went to 7 games in the finals against the Pacers. It's really hard to get through that. And there's a lot of good teams in the West.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were just kind of saying the same thing a few years ago with Denver. It's like, wow, they got Joker, they got this whole crew. Are they starting a little something here? And then, as you can see, it's just it's tough. It's tough to get through that West. It's just a marathon. It's a marathon of a season.
Denver lost a lot of role players they weren't able to keep though over the last few years.
Over time. Yeah.
I think people pretty much say that every time someone wins the championship in the NBA. They say, here comes the next dynasty, and it never happens. Well, not that it never happens, sport, but it hasn't happened for a while.
They say that in every sport pretty much.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, here's a dynasty because you just saw a team win. So.
Yeah, it's tough. I think it goes to show how impressive it is what the Panthers just did in the NHL.
Oh, yeah. It happens more in the NHL, though. Teams win 2 years in a row. Like the Lightning won 3 years in a row. What? Right?
They made
a few years ago.
3 cup finals in a row.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Okay.
But who was the last hockey team to win back to back before?
I thought it was the Lightning. I thought the Lightning did win back to back.
Maybe it was. Maybe they. Yeah, I guess that they did do back to back. But it's tough. I would make the case that it's, hockey and the NBA kind of mirror each other. And how long the seasons are. It's the toughest to do out of those two. Out of the 4 major sports, I would say it's probably the toughest. And I know that's saying a lot because it's hard in all of them, but it's just a marathon in hockey and basketball. It's tough to repeat.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up this list of Stanley Cup champions. I don't know why this list is... All right, so Florida won the last 2 years. So Tampa won in 2020 and 2021.
Okay. Yep.
And before that, the Penguins in 17 and 18. No,
Okay.
sorry, 16 and 17.
Yeah, you're right. A
And-
little more free
And a little bit different, but like the Blackhawks 1-15 and 1-13 and 1-10. So it's not like back-to-back years, but teams are able to stay dominant. And the Kings won in 2012 and 2014.
Yeah.
So teams are able to stay dominant in the NHL.
Great point. Yeah.
All right.
This is fun, guys.
Anything else? Yeah. Brad, thanks for joining. Thanks for coming
Yeah,
on.
of course.
Yeah,
Of course. I
that
mean,
was
we're
fun.
just I mean, I don't know, it's flying by fast. I mean, it's like, we're creeping up on the All-Star break in Major League Baseball.
We're creeping up on
crazy.
on the anniversary of episode 1.
Yeah, when was that? That was real
August.
August, was it? Yeah.
That was August?
No, maybe it was July. It was right after the Olympics. So when are the Olympics? July or August?
Like
It
late
might be
July into August, something like that. Yeah. Wow.
Our first episode 1, 10 months ago. So it just says 10 months ago. It doesn't have the exact date here for some reason.
Probably August.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So 10 months ago is like, August, right? Yep.
Yeah,
No, this is fun, guys. Great to catch up.
no doubt.
Thanks for joining. Thanks
Yeah.
for mediating this. Hosting or mediating? What were you doing?
We'll call it both.
MCing.
A little
Yeah.
bit of both.
New York is better than Philly. Old news here. No big surprise. Sistad is like the little brother. He has this little brother syndrome. He hates New York because they're just bigger and there's more of them and there's more people and there's more teams and he feels very, very small when he goes to New York, and he just feels very big in Philly.
Do you wear will you wear that Sixers hat like walking throughout? Like,
Oh,
No, he's
absolutely.
scared.
Yeah.
No, he's scared.
No, I told the story here. A couple months ago is when the Knicks were in the playoffs against the Pistons, and sometimes I let my son pick out what hat I get to wear. Like he wants me to
Yeah.
wear that day, and he
Right.
picked out a 76ers hat, and I went to get my my car fixed, and it took a lot longer than they expected. So I was just sitting in the mechanic for like an hour wearing my 76ers hat while the Knicks were playing. And everybody was making fun of me. And it was awful because New York fans are the worst.
Me specifically, I'm the
happens.
worst.
No, you're great. You are great.
Don't do that. I'm terrible.
You would not come up and make fun of someone at a mechanic while your team is playing. You wouldn't do that.
I would make fun of someone for just living in the vicinity of Philadelphia. I would say you just must be a moron.
You hate yourself, don't you?
Do you hate life? Why would you?
Yeah.
The only reason you would live there is you hate life.
That's it.
That's it. Right. That you guessed it. That's
Yeah.
why people do it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Brad. Thanks for joining. Everyone, thanks for
You got it.
listening. Please give us a like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Philly pride and Sistad soul, and you rapping NY Bulls. Together they talk sports and dreams, right behind the scenes. It seems Philly versus NY, hear the call. Who's the greatest? Who will fall with this rivalry? Loud and clear, join the chat. It's time to cheer. Sports and culture all in one. Catch the fire, feel the fun. Andrew, Sistad, Brad unite. Philly NY in the spotlight.